So I'm Trayvon Wilburn from Cincinnati, Ohio. I played linebacker the last 3 years here at Ohio State.
What was it like to play for Coach Day?
Playing under Coach Day, he was exciting. He was fun. He kept everybody energized. He kept us on our toes. He motivated us. He gave us a lot of perks that pushed to everybody. He knew how to be a player's coach, and he knew how to push everybody individually or as a group. And that's why we exceeded the way that we did.
Difference between Coach Meyer and Coach Day?
Probably not as much gray hairs on Coach Day. Outside of that, I mean, they're both really tough coaches. They're both ones that want to push you to be the best player that you can be. They're both, in my opinion, one of the best coaches here in college football, or coaches in general.
What was it like to play in front of 100,000 fans, Buckeye fans? What was that experience like running out of the tunnel?
The experience was probably one of the best experiences ever. Sometimes you get blinded by the smoke, but outside of that, just hearing the fans screaming OHIO around the stadium, going to opposing team stadiums and hearing our fans still shouting out OHIO. It was like every game was a home game. It was exciting. The fans, we love them. I appreciate them because we know we couldn't have won if it wasn't for the fans. Them being loud, getting the other team scared, getting the other team nervous. It was the best feeling.
What was it like to play against that team up north and talk about like the physicality of that game and the difference between that team up north game and another game?
So the team up north game, everybody knows the rivalry. It's the game. It's no matter how the season is going, that's the number one game. That's the one we prepare for from the day it's over to the day we play them. All day, every day, off season. That's just the goal. We recruit, well, not recruit, but we're watching film on them. We're watching the ways that they're doing, watching ways that we can get better. And just playing against them is probably the most physical, emotional, everything that you can think of game, mentally, spiritual game ever. You put your heart and soul into that game. The fans get into it. I think 2 years ago when we went up to their house, had more Ohio State fans than they had Team Up North fans there, and that was probably the best feeling. It's a game that you would love to be a part of. That's probably one of the best games in my opinion. Obviously, we're on a win streak against them. We're gonna keep it going, and a lot of people don't know how important that game is to us, and that's the game for the whole season. It's the best game. It's a rivalry game. Fans get involved. We get involved. We all love it. It's the game.